the baby. They don't say, "Oh, how pretty." They say, "Oh, how baby."
Who
All
who is
right.
that? Who does
Oh,
that?
how baby. I don't know. It's
PM and all right, it's 6:30 PM and we will get started. This is the Springs Municipal Advisory Council meeting of February 8th, 2023, and we'll call the meeting to order. Tenemos interpretación en español disponible. Si oprimen el icono globo al pie de la pantalla, será disponible en español. I'd like Vice Chair Perot to call roll, please.
Okay. Councilmember Lombard,
here.
Councilmember Reyes. Okay. Councilmember Alcaraz,
Present here.
Councilmember Winders,
Present.
Councilmember Hardiman.
Present.
Okay. Councilmember Perot, I am here. Chair Aturi.
All righty, thank you. So just a reminder that we ask everyone to participate equally on the council and taking turns. And I'll try to do better at making sure that I'm calling on everybody or giving everybody that opportunity. We want to thank KSVY, Lynn Marie, Karina. We have a new interpreting team, Gilberto Martín del Campo and Javier Marrone tonight. So welcome and thank you both very much for being here. We also have one of Supervisor Gorin's new team members, Zaira Enriquez here. So also welcome her. So thank you all for being here. And we'll get started with the approval of the minutes. Is there a motion to approve the minutes?
I'll make a motion to approve.
Is there a second?
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, thank you. We do not have a youth voice. We're still working the details out of that on that. So we will hopefully get that in place in the next meeting or two. Item 4 is public comment on items not appearing on the agenda. So anything that's on the agenda is not for public comment now. We'll take public comment on those items later on. Just a reminder that we'll keep time. Karina will keep time depending on how many folks we have. We'll adjust the time. If we can have a show of hands for anyone making a public comment, and then I'll help make sure that we have the time equally allotted. And it looks like we have looks like 5. Is that correct? All right.
Chair Aturi.
Okay, so we'll do 2 minutes each. Thank you, Karina.
Okay, for the members of the audience, I will be promoting you into the webinar to allow you to make your public comment. Please state your name for the public record. You will have 2 minutes on the screen, so please be mindful of that time. Para los miembros de la comunidad que desean hacer un comentario en español, por favor de utilizar la aplicación de levantar mano en el Zoom. Se les otorgará el permiso para hacer su comentario. Van a tener 2 minutos para hacer su comentario público. Por favor de mantener su atención en los minutos en la pantalla y decir su nombre completo para el récord público. We will start with Andrea, Abram, Josette, and Marty. That is the order that I see them in. Andrea, please wait for the timer to be on screen and begin your comment when you see the 2 minutes on your screen.
Hi, good evening, everyone. I'm Andrea Rodriguez with Sonoma Water and want to remind everyone that we're also managing the Sonoma Valley County Sanitation District and that white clogged pipes. So this is a great time to remind everyone that things that say biodegradable shouldn't go down into our sewer system. And of course, as we come up to Super Bowl weekend and Super Bowl Sunday, that fats, oils, and greases should be canned and trashed, or if you have a compost system, you can put them in your compost as well. So please remember your wonderful sanitation district and taking care of our sewer pipes. If you have any questions, you can always find us online at sonomawater.org. Thank you so much, everyone. And if you have any questions, please let me know.
Thank you, Andrea.
Oberon, you are next.
Thank you. I'm back.
Give me a
It's been a
second.
while. It's nice to be here. I just wanted to talk about the plaza. And it's been circulated a suggestion that that money that's been sitting there for the last 6 years, which was originally $2 million, is now down to 1.8. It may even be a little bit lower. It's suggested that that go to Larson Park. These are two different issues. The Springs community has wanted a central gathering place in the heart of the Springs. And that was the public parking space next to the post office. I don't know why it's taken 6 years. The Springs Municipal Advisory Council, under an ad hoc committee, had put together a plan and a proposal, and until Supervisor Gorin derailed it because of the plan with the potential plan with Mr. Mattson, it went off track. I would just like the council, which has discussed this for years, to continue to support a plaza in the designated spot that had a plan drawn way back in 2014. There's no need to delay the project now. Mattson is out of the picture, and let's have a central place where we can all come together. Larson Park is not a central place, and I would say half the Springs really doesn't even know where Larson Park is. So I would like the members of this esteemed council to support the community in creating the plaza as soon as possible. I thank you for listening.
Thank you, Avram.
Mhm.
Nice to hear your voice.
Josette, you are next. When you see the timer on your screen, begin your comment, please.
Hi, can you hear me?
Oh,
We can hear you. Go ahead.
oh, I'm sorry. Someone else cut in before me. I didn't, okay.
No.
Josette Brose Eicher. I hope you all have read the emails and links to some of the documents that I have sent to the MAC recently. There is misinformation about scrapping the Mattson County deal for the Springs Plaza floating around. I hope we will not lose sight of a plan to create a community space and begin working together on it now and not tie it to the Springs specific plan. This should be independent of the specific plan based on the fact that there are issues concerning the Donald Street neighborhood and the fact that the residents there do not believe they are part of the Springs. I started a survey to gather data on what the community is thinking now, present day, and not relying on surveys and opinions from years ago. And I will interject that I'm trying to get it translated into Spanish as soon as possible too. In reviewing the data coming in, I am seeing some trends, but also some disparities in what people think a plaza is or actually should be. I hope that some of us here in the community can work with the MAC and get a community meeting together very soon. It was evident from the November 15th, 2022 meeting that on the Mattson plan that most people did not want the plan, but do want a community plaza. I'm going to have to cut this short. My request to the MAC is please put discussion of going forward with the Springs Plaza plan on the next meeting agenda, and let's get started and work on this together. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Josette.
Marty, go ahead.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Will
Hi.
somebody else cut in when I'm starting to speak? Oh,
My name is Marty Bennett. I'm a 30-year resident of the Sonoma Valley. I'm a retired SRJC instructor, and I'm with a union, Unite Here Local 2, representing hotel, restaurant, gaming, and food service workers in the North Bay. I want to announce that my union is sponsoring a vigil for justice this Thursday, tomorrow, from 5:30 p.m. to 6:30 p.m. on the sidewalk in front of the Fairmont Sonoma Mission Inn, 100 Boys Boulevard. Workers at the Fairmont are organizing to join our union, and we expect the National Labor Relations Board to soon set a date for an election sometime in the next several months to determine union representation. The purpose of the vigil is to demonstrate the broad community support for the workers in the union and to demand that the employer abide by the law, respect workers' rights, and remain neutral as the law requires. The workers want living wages, affordable health care, improved working conditions. The owners of the Sonoma Mission Inn, Brookfield Asset Management Company, also owns 2 Fairmont hotels in San Francisco, which are unionized. Wages and benefits are substantially higher in San Francisco than the Fairmont in Boys Hot Springs. Most of the 250 workers at the Fairmont live in the Sonoma Valley. If workers join Unite here, it will provide much greater economic security for workers and their families, improve health outcomes for workers' families, make housing more affordable to workers and their families, and yield greater educational achievement for children of workers. Please join us tomorrow night, 5:30 at the Sonoma Mission Inn, 100 Boys Boulevard. Thank you.
Thank you, Marty. Seeing no other public comment. Thank you all for your public comment, and thank you to the public for showing up. We really appreciate it. It's this is a space for all of you, so very grateful to have you here. Iris, is your hand raised?
Can I do a public announcement?
Is
Or
it
am I in
community
the wrong
event?
slot? It's a community event.
Okay, I'm going to do that right now. So give me
Okay.
1 second. Okay, so the item 5 is community event announcements, and Iris has got the first one.
Okay, thank you. The Sonoma Valley Hospital is having a clinic event for COVID shots and flu shots. It's on Tuesday, February 21st from 5 to 7 p.m. in their main lobby. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Are there any other community announcements to be made? Mari Carmen, Jesus, Celeste, Hannah, Mari.
Thank you, Maite. Yes, and thank you, Miss. Oops, can you see me? For some reason, I went blank for some reason. Thank you, also Iris, for mentioning that. On behalf of the health center, yes, we are hosting the vaccine clinic at the hospital. And we're also having flu shots, both regular and high dose, still available. Also, LHI bus is no longer in existence, nowhere in the county. There's only, I think, the color testing in Runner Park. So that is now very limited. And Roseland Clinic is going to be closing at the end of the month. So I think we are probably going to be the only open to the public vaccine clinics, literally in the county. So we are Wednesdays from 5 to 7, and then doing pop-up vaccine clinics at Vintage House on the 17th of February from 10 to 12, and looking for other pop-up sites as well till the end of, until May. Thank you.
Thank you, Mari Carmen. Joe, anyone else have a community event announcement?
Yeah, I'm saying this in every meeting I'm in, and I'll keep saying it until that date, just so everyone knows. Summer camp registration for Boys and Girls Clubs will open April 1st. So anyone's asking, it's that time people are starting to look. They'll open April 1st. We'll give lots of heads up and announcement and tell you what we're doing as we lead into it. But that's when our registration will open.
Thank you, Joe. Okay.
Territory, it looks like Edward from our attendance or attendees is wanting to make a public announcement. So Ed, oh, and Sherry Turry, 2 minutes for this as well.
Yeah, for a community event announcement.
Yeah, well, thank you very much. Much appreciated. for the
Ed, give me a second, Ed, sorry. Give me 1 second. Go ahead, Ed.
Very good. Yeah, thank you very much and much appreciated for this opportunity. My name is Edward Rowe. I'm the general manager here at the Fairmont Sonoma Mission Inn. I've been here about 4.5 years as general manager. And as we are the employer of choice in the area, and as we support the local community, if it's through Boys and Girls Club, Alvarado School, the Chartered School, and the other schools and organizations and nonprofits, we have a new position, leadership position here at the property that's just being posted. It's for the Fairmont Sonoma Mission Inn Community Liaison Manager, and we're looking for a leader who is Spanish speaking, who is from the local community, who can be our liaison with these great organizations, and also to be an advocate for what we do, and also to assist our colleagues as well with the great work that these nonprofits and different organizations do within the community. So if you know anyone, we are looking for this Spanish-speaking leader. It would be greatly appreciated. And I just wanted to take the time to just make that announcement. That's all. And thank you.
Thank you, Edward. Are there any other community announcements from the public?
I don't see any further raised hands, Chair.
All righty, thank you so much. Okay, moving on to the chair update. So it looks like we're aiming to return to a in-person meeting. We likely will hold it hybrid. We're still negotiating that, but March, look for us to return to an in-person setting, which I'm very excited about. We're looking for locations. The school district is an option. We did that, I think, back in, I can't remember what that was, October, I think, maybe when we did it the last time. So we're looking to do that again. An update from the SVCAC. We held 2 meetings this month. One meeting was to hear about a proposal for Stage Gulch Road near the dump to have a community or location for the wineries to be able to a shared space, not for tasting, but for bottling and other kinds of work that would take place there. We also heard about the Kenwood Ranch, which is proposed again for Kenwood. The applicant did not attend the meeting, and the SVCAC has many, many questions that we have pushed back to the applicant for them to answer by February 10th. So there's, as you can imagine, there's questions about water, evacuation. So we're waiting to hear back from the applicants on that. A little bit about material and deadlines. If there's any material that needs to be presented, it would be great if it could get to Karina by the 4th Monday by the end of the month, so that we can have it on the agenda and council members can review it, because we're finding we're not getting enough time to review materials. So that would be important. Also, I want to share that we've heard from many people in the community, and again heard it tonight, that there needs to be a meeting about the plaza, but actually there needs to be a meeting that's larger than that about issues that are happening within the Springs. So plaza's one of them, traffic's another, food insecurity, rents. There's several issues within the Springs that need to be voiced and uplifted. So there are a couple of MAC members working with community organizations to develop a meeting space. We're looking at the late spring, or not late spring, but middle spring, when the time change happens. While it'd be great to have this in collaboration with the county, there are some opportunities to have this be outside of the MAC and to be working with our community partners to hold that space. It's an information gathering opportunity that we would then move that information forward to the county. The plaza certainly is one of those things, but there are other things that need to be raised and illuminated as well. They're not, all our community members do not come to this meeting, and we want to create a space that's accessible. The meeting will be bilingual. We used to do these kinds of meetings at El Verano quite frequently, where we hold community forums and just create space for voice to be heard. So that'll we'll provide more information. We're still in the planning stages. The last part of this is appointment renewals are coming up. Maite and Iris in March 2023. So that'll be at the next meeting. Jesus and Hannah, July 2023. Supervisor Gorin and myself will be meeting with the reappointees as they come up. We also, are you going to share the list, or do you want me to, I know that you have a screenshot in here, Karina, or do you want to just move on from that?
That's just for you to,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay. All right. Thank you. We also have executive team terms coming up, chair and vice chair in the April meeting. So we'll be looking at nominations for those positions. We may look to include a secretary and treasurer in these roles as executive team. So let's see, I think that's it for my update. That was a lot. Thanks for hanging in there. Is there any public comment? Comment from the council? Joe?
Although our parking is atrocious, I'm sure Boys and Girls Club would love to host a community forum if that's what we'd like to do.
That would be awesome. You do have a large space. And maybe parking will be worked out by the spring?
Oh,
We'll keep
yeah.
our fingers crossed.
It's supposed to be done before Sweetheart. It's
Okay.
not. That's Saturday.
It's a parking adventure. Just treat it as an adventure, Joe.
All right. Thank you, Joe, for that offer. I appreciate that. Okay, so that closes the chair update, and we will move on to Supervisor Gorin.
If I may, Chair.
Maite, I think I see a couple hands.
Oh, you do? I'm sorry. I missed that. Oh, many hands. Okay.
We're going to start with you, then we're going to go to Ed and followed by Josette. When you see the timer on your screen, you can begin.
All right. Thank you, Celeste, for pointing that out.
Yes, this is Havram again. I think what you brought up, Maite, was very good. A number of topics that the community could come together. I think the plaza is really a separate issue. This is something that has been weighed in over and over again for so many years. And I know you said you didn't want to rely on past feelings, et cetera, but this has been delayed at least 6 years. And I just think this issue is really a MAC issue. It's been discussed at the MAC for years. And I think, just like Josette said earlier, we need to get on with this. She, in her editorial in today's IT, she said, let's not wait for the spring specific plan. We've been waiting for that for 7 years. And, you know, things just get tucked away, and we've wasted far too much time. We need to move forward. It was promised for the springs. Those funds are there. And I think we should move forward. So I just wanted to give my opinion, and I appreciate the opportunity to do it. Thank you.
Thank you, Avram.
Mm-hmm.
Ed, go ahead.
Yes, since I'm on the call, I just wanted to voice, similar to the Boys and Girls Club, more than happy to assist with any community events here. And that's why we're looking for this SMI community liaison manager position to help support us with these community events and this parking that seems to be a bit of a challenge during these community events. So we have the parking here and our employee parking, and I just wanted to put our name into the hat for that as well. So that's it.
Thank you, Edward. Is there anyone else, Karina?
Go ahead.
Okay. This is Josette again, and I want to just reiterate what Avram said. I would like to not wait and to have the meeting much sooner. And I think he said it, clearly. I also did want to mention that I had, I've surveyed all of the parking in the Springs for all of the buildings, and I will forward my spreadsheet to you because I think that, one of the issues about the plaza is parking. And I also have some ideas about how for employee parking, businesses could possibly share because some have a lot more parking than others. And I will forward that information to you, but I think I said Avram said it the best, so I don't need to say it again. Thanks so much.
Thank you, Josette. Karina, anyone else?
Yes, Mario,
Alrighty, thank you.
go ahead, make your comment.
Good evening, Chair Tori. Good evening, members of the MAC. Mario Castillo here, member of the Springs. Just a quick comment in regards to the plaza and this sort of ordeal and situation. I was very, very, very disappointed on the way this group went about in terms of representing the community with the Matsons and the plaza, and how a lot of the residents, specifically the Spanish-speaking community, were again, there has always been lack of representation, an opportunity to allow for people to have self-representation and advocate for themselves. It's always individuals who have either their own interests, their own agendas, and lack of effort to really integrate, engage the Latinx community. So I hope that these conversations about engaging, getting the community to actively participate, there is actually a true engagement, a true component of to that, and making sure that the voices of the people are actually present at the table. And I believe that this group could make that happen. If not this group, then perhaps other groups in the area. And this is why I'm so excited that the workers at the Mission Inn are in fact looking into organizing themselves to represent their rights and in terms of working conditions. So again, we are at the crossroads in terms of really getting representation from the Latinx community, from people who actually can have the ability to represent themselves, speak for themselves in terms of what kind of future they see themselves for in the Springs. So thank you so much for your time. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Mario. Okay, Supervisor Gorin's report. Welcome, Supervisor Gorin.
Well, thank you. And it's delightful to be with you. Mario, I couldn't agree with you more about community outreach, authentic community outreach to those community members and business owners, and helping them or provide a space to hear their voices, especially around the community plaza. And Avram, I disagree with you totally. We never had a plan for the plaza. I didn't bring it forward because we didn't have a plan. I wanted to bring it forward at the appropriate time before the spring specific plan came forward. And I totally agree with you, Avram. It is way past time for the spring specific plan to come forward. And there are lots of reasons for that. And I don't want to go into it, but I'm disappointed that it's taken so long to bring that forward. So here we have an opportunity. And I came forward with an idea. The community soundly rejected that idea. I said, fine, great. But we still are at the same place. Do we want a community plaza at that location or another location? Because I've heard of a couple of different locations for a plaza. At those meetings, I heard a lot of conversation regarding diverting the dollars to the Larson Park, perhaps with the intent of having a community plaza. There is still continuing conversation about what we want for the Springs and for the community. So I've had a conversation with Maite and Josette and a couple of other folks. Given my experience of grassroots coming together to move forward in planning projects in Santa Rosa, for example, the Prince Memorial Greenway, the Southeast Greenway, and a number of other projects, it starts from the grassroots. It did not start from the top down. So I'm encouraged that we have groups and individuals that want to come together to talk about and come to some agreement on a community plaza, where it might be, what its function is. We had some suggestions on what people might like to see in a plaza, but we need to confirm that. And we also need to outreach to the business community about the desperate need for parking. And I wish we could clone parking and deal with parking and the plaza at the same time. But there is a give and take. Michael Ross came forward before I was elected with a sketch of what a plaza might look like, 2-level plaza with some small space for parking at the lower part of the plaza. That might be something that the community wants to see. But I know that the post office, the barbershop, Wine Country Tires, and the Adirondack, I'm sorry, I've forgotten the name of the business that manufactures Adirondack chairs without parking, all want to have parking at the plaza. And we know that this is the holdover from the Highway 12 widening, that we eliminated a number of legal parking spaces. And so we have a deficit in parking from that project. Was a really important project to widen and move it forward. But we did this small space has some parking. We are leasing space from the owners of Parsons Hardware Store for that parking. It's never full, but that is a place that customers from Emilina Central is directed to. So we do have some space for parking. There is a conversation in the spring specific plan. Do we want to consider placing parking on Highway 12 again and having the lanes shift back and forth around the parking? That's why it's important to put this conversation in the context of the spring specific plan, especially regarding parking. There is a suggestion also in the spring specific plan about the formation of a parking district to maybe create and maintain more parking spaces in the plaza. But the number one issue that we have, right, two issues. Do we want a community plaza? If so, what do we want to see in a plaza? How it's going to function, even if it's small. And then the second issue is how we support businesses and business development along the corridor. Because businesses need parking for employees and customers. And that's why we have the vacant spaces at the former Church Mouse, even before Ken Matson purchased the building. And the front part of that building has been vacant every year of my term. In fact, that was where one of my early campaign offices was, in the front part of the Church Mouse, when Jack Middlelinas owned the building. And it's why Karen Waikiki was really challenged to move forward with a restaurant at the former site of Uncle Patty's. Parking is important. Community plaza, I think, is important. And I welcome the community groups coming together to hold the meetings with extensive outreach with, especially among our diverse communities, about where we want a plaza, what do we want to see in a plaza. And I'm not going to make a movement to divert the funds from this until we say, yes, it's not going to work here. There is a funding gap at Larson Park. I'm working to fill it. It may involve a community campaign to fill the gap, but I have some other ideas. We hope to send the bid out this year for the renovations at Larson Park. So I'm not waiting for the community to chime in about the plaza, but I am working on a parallel track. So I think it's important for the community to come together, find a space, hold the meeting. And I've talked with Maite about maybe having an executive committee of various groups come together to talk about format, translation, facilitation. What do you want to see at a meeting? And I agree with you, Avram, and Mario, maybe a meeting about the plaza is probably enough to occupy the conversation, but there may be opportunities for another meeting to talk about the other issues that were raised. So I'm excited that the community is awakened and they're coming together to have this conversation. And I think it probably at this point should not be a full MAC discussion, but rather a couple of members, at least until the community weighs in and you come together. Unless that's what the MAC wants to see, is hold a MAC meeting at the same time with a community meeting. It's a little awkward, but we could do that if you want to do that. It's not on the agenda tonight, so you might think about the options and maybe put it on the agenda next for the next meeting. And so that's what I want to say about the community plaza. I'm really excited about community groups coming together, but please, please make sure that we have an authentic, extensive outreach among the business community and our diverse community about what we want to see on the plaza. And I really wanted to thank Andrea Rodriguez for being part of the MAC meeting tonight. She helped to lead the District 1 team on a tour of our water facilities, our water collection facilities, our water education meeting up at the Russian River. Not enough Sonoma Valley school children are able to access the water education at that site. And Karina and I both sort of thought about how we might put our heads together to think about how we get more Sonoma Valley children up there to understand our water supply and how important water is. But her message is really important, and maybe that's something that we can figure out how to amplify. Please don't flush anything down a toilet that is not biodegradable, because it makes a mess and it gets stuck and it plugs up the sewer system. And so we know that we have some capacity issues of our trunk line going down Sonoma Valley. They're planning continuing phases of the replacement of the truck line to try to eliminate that. But I'm just so gratified we have great folks making sure that we have water continuing to be collected and pumped down to Sonoma Valley, because we want to make sure that we are resilient for our water and sewer supply. We had a very short board meeting on Tuesday looking at our strategic plan, and it's way too intensive to go into it now. But if you have an interest in the strategic plan, and we might be writing about this at our next newsletter article, and all the various expenditures we are going to be making in this year and the next year to support the 5 pillars of the county strategic plan. It was our first meeting for our new CAO, County Administrative Officer, Maria Cristina Rivera, born in Mexico, went to school in Mexico, and now is here, longtime county employee, fluent in Spanish, and she's anxious to get out into the community. So I hope that she will bring her authentic voice to Sonoma Valley. Will help her figure that out as well. So I think that's the end of my report, other than I'm so sorry, Joe, I'm not going to make the sweetheart ball this weekend. I will be.
I know, I heard.
How did I double booked myself? I bought a ticket. Use it for a donation. And you're right, parking is a little bit of a mess there, but it will resolve itself at some point. So I'm going to miss the Sweetheart Ball and enjoy. That's my report.
Thank you, Supervisor Gorin. Are there any comments from the panel? Celeste, and then Muddy.
Yes, thank you, Supervisor Gorin. I just have a quick question and request, and maybe it's something you could look into and get back to us next month. I really appreciate that you're going to go and do some research and see if we can seek some funds for the renovations of Larson Park and treating that as separate. But I know that the wheels of bureaucracy turn slowly, right? It's not a quick instant fix. And my hope is that in the meantime, that we not have to wait for a full renovation in order to get a functioning bathroom. Those porta potties were put in there when the bathroom at Larson Park stopped functioning properly. It was supposed to be temporary, and that was a couple years ago. So what was temporary has become a long-term solution. And as somebody who uses that park almost daily, I can share with you, it's actually it's kind of a health issue. Small children can't use that potty without having to touch it. And it's a little bit of a balancing act for them. Folks with mobility challenges, it's really not a clean or safe place for them to stabilize themselves to use that restroom. And so I'm wondering if you could look into and get back to us and see, is there a way that the county could repair the bathroom so that we have a functioning bathroom while we go through the process of seeking and obtaining funds for Larson Park?
Thanks, Celeste. I know that you have been such an advocate for Larson Park, and especially since it's your neighborhood park. It's our park, but it's your neighborhood park. The challenge with, we're so close to getting all of the funding for the renovations, and so we're looking to fill the small gap. The challenge is phasing anything in Larson Park is challenging because the soccer field needs to have, the tennis courts need to move, the softball field, and the bathroom is supposed to move to the another end of the park. So it's really, it's difficult to do it at a piecemeal basis. But I understand exactly what you're saying about the health of our community and especially small children. As a mom with small children, using parks, doesn't matter, any park, every time I brought my children into any park, I go, so it's not just Larson Park. It fills me with a little concern about, that's why you wash your hands after you even look at the bathroom. So, but I'll carry that forward and see if maybe we can at least get more regular maintenance or cleaning of the porta potties, but know that it's a full court press for me to find the final little gap of funding to move that forward.
So is it not possible for the bathroom that was there to be repaired? Is that what the problem is? Is it's not possible to repair it?
It's in such bad shape that it's simply going to be scraped and have a bathroom built. Sort of as you go into the parking lot, it will be close to the parking lot there.
Okay, yeah, if you could look into seeing if maybe we could get a larger porta potty with better hand washing and something that could work better for, it's like I said, it's the concerned small children being able to balance themselves, and those with mobility need, it's in order to stabilize themselves, they have to touch some pretty unsanitary areas.
I totally get what you're saying. A suggestion for a MAC meeting would be to have Bert Whitaker and Steve Ehret come to the MAC to present the, I know it's been a while, but to present the master plan for Larson Park. And it would be great to ask that question of them, but I'll carry this forward and I appreciate the question.
Thank you.
Thank you. Mari Carmen and then Hannah.
Thank you, Maite. And thank you, Supervisor, for joining us tonight. I had to run to the bathroom, but I don't know if you spoke about the senior and people with disabilities survey that the area on aging is doing. I think it's such an important topic. Especially, I went to the one at Lulu's this morning, and I had heard that only, I think 4 years ago, only 2% had been from Sonoma, the responses, and then in total, out of 4,000 responses, only 40 countywide had been Spanish speaking. Or if you spoke about, or if you can speak a little bit to it. Thank you.
Thanks, Vera Carmen. I think all of you receive my district newsletter. If you don't, let us know. But I recently sent it out with links to the survey that the Area Agency on Aging has put out. I believe that's in Spanish as well. So if you've received the newsletter, please forward it to as many people as you possibly can find and point out the need to participate in the survey. My areas of responsibility have shifted a little bit in that I've been appointed to a committee, countywide, community-wide committee called Aging Together. Yay, I'm a senior. I can actually participate in the aging issues. So I've yet to meet with Paul Dunaway, but I work with our representatives on the Area Agency on Aging. I have 3 representatives on there. And I don't know that Hannah's on here, but I did have, I think I just filled the last vacancy on that. But we do have representatives in Sonoma Valley that serve on AAA. Don't confuse it with the insurance company. It's not that. And so if you have not received my blurby, as I call it, please let us know and we'll send it to you and send it out widely.
Thank you. Hannah, did you have a question? Did you have a comment?
Yeah, I just had a question briefly. Supervisor Gorin, you said something about potentially bringing parking back on 12, and you said that was found in the spring specific plan, or can you speak to that?
It is a suggestion in the spring specific plan. It fills me with concern because it's disruptive of the bike lanes on there, and it means that traffic will have to weave back and forth, which is not ideal. But the spring specific plan is out, the draft. You can go on to the Permit Sonoma website and start sifting through about 100 pages of the specific plan and the EIR. It is coming forward, she says, hopefully soon, and I'm not sure when. So take some time to review the plan.
And then you also mentioned a parking division or something. Can you elaborate on that?
The cities do have created special districts called a parking district. Property owners have to agree to pay into the district, and the funding for that could be used to create parking, lease land for parking, maintain parking lots, and perhaps you could also charge for parking. I don't think the Springs is large enough to consider that, but Santa Rosa has a very large parking district, which builds the parking garages and maintains the parking garages. And the Springs, I remember Ellen Conlon very clearly wanting a parking garage in the Springs. And I said, Ellen, you have no idea how expensive they are to build and maintain. It's probably not appropriate to the scale of the Springs. Thus, I brought forward the Maslin suggestion, but we're moving forward from that. So we can't exactly manufacture space for parking without a lot of challenges.
Thank you.
All right, thank you, everyone. Is there public comment?
See raised hands.
All righty, move them forward. Thank you.
Still doing 2 minutes.
And
Yeah.
I just wanted to say thank you to all of you working so hard to be the voice of the community. You are doing an amazing job, and I thank you every day for that.
Thank you, Supervisor Gorin. Is Avram first?
I see it. We can start now. Yeah, this is Avram Goldman. Thank you for your report, Supervisor Gorin. Just a couple things in terms of clarification. Both Helen Conlon and myself on the MAC spent a year putting together a plan for the plaza, which we presented to the MAC. We also presented the plan that was submitted in 2014. And we were about to move forward at that time. Yes, we didn't have a plan in place. We didn't allocate the funds, but it may be a matter of semantics, but we were ready to go. And I understand the wheels of government turn quite slowly, because I know we were talking about a parking district way back when I started with the MAC 4 years ago. And I know Helen had brought that up and you had brought it up yourself, Supervisor. So it's just, I guess my recommendation would be to figure out how we can speed up the time of some of these projects. It is really frustrating, I think, to the public, or at least myself, and I don't know if I represent the public, but it would, I think, be much more efficient if we can move these projects and they wouldn't take 5 years or 6 years or 7 years, or like sidewalks 30 years in the Springs. Any way that I can help in that movement, I would be happy to participate. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Avram.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Avram. Is Sean next?
Yes, Sean, go ahead. Please unmute and begin your comment.
Good evening. This is Sean Fisher. I live over on West Agua Caliente. Thank you everyone for being here, and Supervisor Gorin. I'm either late to the party or early to the party, depending on what you read. And Supervisor Gorin, I just have a long list of questions that I'm not going to go through. But I guess I want to raise that I think that there is a need to meet with you for members in your district with the recent HANA announcement / proposal, and what's going on and what's happening with the county. There's been, my experience has been, there's been some conflicting responses from the county. When I reached out to your office about this, when I first heard about it, and I'll paraphrase, the response essentially was, well, Hannah hasn't submitted a proposal yet, so there's not really anything to talk about, or the county doesn't really have a position. But that doesn't
interrupt. That item is coming up a little bit later on the agenda. So if you can hold up to your comment, you're welcome to comment on Supervisor Gorin's update at this time.
Okay, so long as Supervisor Gorin will still be here, that's great. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sean. Is it Mario who's next?
Jose L.
Yes, give me 1 second, please. Juggling multiple screens on my end.
Yes, thank you, Karina.
Mario, go ahead.
Can you hear me there?
Yes, we can hear you.
Awesome. Oh, I just wanted to ask Supervisor Gordon if I could use her tickets to the event at the Boys and Girls Club.
Thanks, Mario.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mario.
Yeah,
Is there anyone else, Karina?
Yes, give me 1 second. Josette? Go ahead.
Okay. Would there be an interest in me forwarding the parking survey that I did? Because I do think that there could be a way to accommodate employee parking if we outreach to the business community and have them all work together to perhaps share some of the parking they have, because my observations were that some have quite a bit of parking that is not utilized at all. Yes, there is walking distance between the businesses, But I think that if, as part of this, if we engage the business community and start talking to each and every one of them, that perhaps there could be some sharing of this parking. And I will forward this to the MAC, and I will forward it to you also, Supervisor Gorin, to see if you do have any interest in this, because I think it could be something that does not cost money, but could facilitate more parking. Thanks so much.
Thank you, Gisette. Okay, we will close.
Attorney.
Pardon me?
Oh, sorry. I was just saying that concludes public comment.
Thank you. We will close the supervisor's update.
And can I just respond a little bit? Sean, anytime you want to outreach to me about a number of items, please don't hesitate, and we can set up a Zoom or an in-person conversation at some point in the future. There are a lot of conversations to be had around the HANA project, and we're going to have an update, and you'll have that opportunity. This is the beginning of the process. So it doesn't mean that anything is foregone. So share your questions and comments on that project. Shared parking, there have been a couple of businesses that have tried to share parking and they had some challenges with that. So I would welcome anybody from the community having a conversation with businesses about that prospect, and then let them respond. Certainly, everything is an option regarding parking. And Mario, I'm sorry, I've already donated my ticket and the funding for the permit, the ticket back to the Boys and Girls Club so that they could resell it. And so next time, maybe we'll figure out, I'll have a lottery on who I can give my extra ticket to. But thanks so much. And you all are amazing. And thank you for your questions. And one more response. Avram, if you and Ellen, if you still have your plan for the plaza, forward it to me, because I don't think I've seen a little sketch from you about what you think would be great for Plaza.
All right, thank you, Supervisor Gorin. So we're going to move on to the next item. We have 10 minutes for this item, so I just want to make sure that we're paying attention to the time, and that includes comments and all of that. So Arnold Drive bike lanes, we have Cindy Rader from Sonoma County Public Infrastructure, and Jeremy, I hope I don't mess up your last name, Schmall.
Got it.
All right, from GHD, and we're going to hear about the bike lanes. Thank you both for being here.
Hi, thank you. So I'm Cindy Rader. I'm a senior engineer and project manager at Sonoma County in the Public Infrastructure Department, and I've been managing the Arnold Drive bike lane expansion from the county's point of view, and Jeremy is my counterpart managing at GHD. We're mainly just here to let you know that we're going to be having a community meeting probably in March. We don't have it scheduled just yet. It'll be a Zoom. It'll be in the evening, and we're going to be setting up a web page for the project. We don't have the page set up yet. One of Jeremy's slides has got a link to the parent page, where the project page will end up showing up, so you can check back on that periodically. We won't have a lot of information initially. Once we have the meeting time set, we'll post that up there. And then after we have the meeting, we'll start posting some of the information that we talk about at the meeting. That's pretty much what I have at this point. Jeremy's got a couple of slides that he's going to walk through here.
Yep, thanks, Cindy. Not a ton of information so far at this point to share, but wanted to at least give a brief overview of the project. So project limits have changed a little bit from some of the previous iterations. So the current proposed project is from Country Club Drive on the south to Madrone Road on the north. As you know, Country Club is basically the transition where it goes from the narrower 2 lanes, no shoulders, headed south into the previously widened section. And basically what this project entails is preserving the 12-foot vehicular lanes and widening the shoulder to accommodate a 5-foot bike lane and 2-foot shoulder. And also any obstructions within 3 feet of the bike lane would need to be moved or relocated. And it's there is going to be some storm drain, culvert extensions, relocations, things of that nature, and revised signing and striping to accommodate the bike lane. And essentially that's the project in a nutshell. And as Cindy mentioned, we have a community meeting coming in March. We don't have it scheduled yet, but some point, hopefully early March, and that'll be on Zoom. And then we are working actively to get the site onto the projects and planning website that the county hosts. I'm sure they'll get blasted out in Supervisor Gorin's blurb when it gets done.
All right. Thank you so much. Anything else you want to share with us before we go to comments?
That's pretty much it at this point. Stay tuned.
All right. Thank you. Are there comments from the council? I'm not sure if I see hands. Karina, can you help me out here?
Maite.
Is it Supervisor Gorin and Jesus?
Yes.
Okay.
And maybe you can stop sharing the screen. I really wanted to thank Cindy Rader and Jeremy so much for their work on this. As they know, I've been biting the ankles of Transportation and Public Works for now 10 years to get the bike lanes widened in these 2 sections. And Avram, your comments is music to my ears. How can we get these projects completed on a timely basis? Yeah, I've been saying that for a while. So I'm thrilled it's finally moving forward. We're going to have a public meeting. And I would love to hear your questions and outreach to the community. I have felt that this project is so important to create safety along Arnold Drive for cyclists, because in sections of the road, this shoulder is like this wide, and then it's a culvert or a creek. And if we're contemplating development at the Sonoma Developmental Center, we have to create safe multimodal transportation. It does require some right-of-way acquisition. It will require some trees coming down and covering some of the culverts. And so it's going to be a bit messy for a while, and there may be some community opposition, which is why this was stopped by the previous supervisor, Valerie Brown. And I hope to get your support to move this across the finish line. So end of my little dialogue.
Thank you. Jesus, did you have a comment you'd like to make?
Yeah, my question was for Jeremy Schmall and Cindy Rader. So I was just a little curious about if the widening of the lines for the bike lines will entail the narrowing of the car lines, or will they expand the space between the? Would that mean that they will expand to the corners, to the? I don't know how to explain that.
I think I understand what you're asking there. We're not going to be narrowing the lanes. They'll be standard 12-foot vehicle lanes.
Okay, that's just my question. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions, comments from council before I move to public comment? Hannah?
Is this fully funded? Is this ready to go? I wasn't quite clear on that. Or is this? Yes, that's great. That's awesome. Very cool.
All right, thank you. Is there public comment on this item?
Members of the public who wish to make a public comment, please use the raise hand feature. You will be allowed to give your comment, and I believe it's 2 minutes, Chair Turi.
Yes.
I don't see any race. Oh,
Thank you. I have one final question. I'm wondering about the rest of Arnold Drive. That's a section of it. Are there plans to, or I have some snarky things I could say, but I'm not going to. I'm wondering how, I mean, you've got this section, what happens with the rest of the road?
That might be a Supervisor Gorin question. I pretty much got handed we have some funding for this, make it happen.
And she is making it happen. Yay. Actually, Arnold Drive is wide enough for bike lanes in the other sections. And it was widened with Valerie Brown over a decade ago. And if you will, it needs to be swept because we have the eucalyptus trees shedding. And Recology is trying to do a better job of sweeping the lines. But it was just these sections, half-mile sections north and south of the roundabout that were so tortuously narrow. Those are the sections that were really widening.
Okay, thank you. When I drive down that road, I just don't see a lot of space for bikes. So I'm glad to hear that there is space there and it'll be cleaned up. So that's awesome. Thank you. All right. Thank you both so much for coming and sharing that information. And we look forward to hearing more as you progress on this.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, thank you. Our next item is this is the potential development. We'll receive a presentation from Hannah Center on the current activities and the development of the 60-acre property at 810 West Agua Caliente. I believe we have Michael Woods and Leslie Peterson representing Hannah. And we have 10 minutes for this item as well. Thank you both for being here and welcome to the Springs MAC.
Thank you, Chair Turi. Leslie, are you on?
I was muted.
Great.
Thank you so much for having us. We appreciate the opportunity to share. As I think I've explained to most of you and met with most of you, Hannah's desire is to increase its community impact and be a larger resource to Sonoma Valley residents. Those plans include the Community Mental Health Hub, which will be to all, transitional housing for foster youth, non-public school, which will provide special education services to the county. Vocational and CTE training are something that we're really focused on. We know that those are programs that our kids need. Not all of them are bound for college. So CTE training is embedded in our school curriculum now, and vocational training will be available to them post-graduation and to our transitional housing youth. And then the additional program that we know is a need is preschool program. And so all of these programs that we're working on now to support the community we need to diversify our income. And so that's why we're here today, to speak with you about the 60 acres that Hannah purchased in 1947, and actually is part of the same lot that our 90-acre campus is on. So Hannah has one lot. It's 150 acres, 90 of which is on the west side of Arnold Drive, and the 60 acres is on the east between Arnold Drive and St. Leo's. Fun fact is that Hannah actually owns a lot that St. Leo's is currently on, and donated that to them to build that parish many, many years ago. So that's my spiel, and I'm going to turn it over to Michael to share about what the plans are on the 60 acres.
Thanks, Leslie. Can you all see my screen?
Yes, we can see it.
Okay, thank you. Chair Turi and council members, Supervisor Gorin, thanks for the opportunity to speak with you this evening. Hannah has been considering possible development of this site, principally the area east of Arnold Drive, since at least 2004. Lots of ideas have been considered. The process has gone into some further study in more recent years. Last year, we met with approximately 45 stakeholders, community leaders, organizations, public agencies around the Valley to get ideas of what was needed, of what needs we might try to address in addition to addressing the needs of Hannah. As Leslie indicated, part of what Hannah is interested in doing is diversifying its revenue sources. We should point out that there are no revenues that go from Hannah to the Catholic Church or the Archdiocese, and no revenues that come back to Hannah from the Archdiocese or Catholic Church. It's an independent organization. And all of the programs that Leslie mentioned are really within the existing scope of general activities on the main campus, except for a childcare and preschool, which we've heard a great deal about the need for, and except for a vocational training center, which we've also heard about the need for. We've heard from community members and stakeholder groups about the need for affordable housing, for mixed income workforce housing. Hannah would like to create housing for some of its own staff east of Arnold Drive so that people can go across the street to work instead of driving in from other areas. We'd like to provide market rate housing to some extent. We've heard about considerable need for more senior living facilities in the Valley. We were given some statistics from the healthcare district last week indicating that of all of the demographic groups in different ages in the county, those 65 and older are expected to grow by 10% in the next 5 years, while all of the other demographic age groups remain the same or actually decrease in population. So more services for seniors is something we've heard a lot about. We've also considered and wanted to preserve about 20 acres of the site in undeveloped space. And we wanted to provide mentoring opportunities and job opportunities for Hannah clientele and members of the community. The site that you see here on this slide outlined in red is really what we're referring to as the project site. We think there's a possibility that the corner up at the upper left, which is at the northeast corner of the main campus, could be used for a portion of the project. That might be a location for the vocational training center. We think that the childcare and preschool would be on the principal 60-acre site east of Arnold Drive. And we're right now looking at a site planning process where Hannah would consider what product types can fit on this site, what are the unit counts that would be appropriate, and get ready to file an application. So this is really very early on. One of the things that we're endeavoring to do is to retain ownership of the vast majority of the site in Hannah and develop the property on long-term ground leases. And under that kind of a scenario, the land would be retained by Hannah, and at the end of the ground leases, those improvements would come back to Hannah. So Hannah would have a long-term management interest through appropriate firms that would be contracted to do the job, to maintain the project site, to maintain the improvements in good condition. So with the site planning underway, we're looking to include affordable housing, workforce housing, market housing, senior living. We're looking to possibly include a hotel that would provide accommodations for those visiting loved ones and friends in the senior living facility, and visitors to Hannah, such as the Hannah Institute, and visitors to the Valley in general. We're interested in including as much as we can by way of hiking and biking paths and some of that preserved open space. And we also would like to include at least a small component of neighborhood serving commercial, probably down toward the roundabout. We don't know details of that at this point. We wanted to engage in as much outreach as we could, as early as we could. We didn't want the first time people heard about this project to be when they got the notice of public hearing before the Board of Zoning Adjustments or the Planning Commission. And so in the first week in January, we sent about 60 letters out to our closest neighbors to the north and south of the principal project site, inviting them to attend one-on-one personal meetings at Hannah. We've met with over 25 individuals over the past 3 weeks. I've attended all those meetings. Our CEO, Cameron Safarlo, has attended almost every meeting, and Leslie has attended, I think, every meeting, and our VP Finance has attended many of the meetings as well. And we've heard from those folks. We also wanted to have community meetings. So about 3 weeks ago, we sent out 500 letters to residents in the area, inviting them to community meetings held last Tuesday evening, a week ago yesterday. and held Sunday afternoon at 1 o'clock. Those meetings were at the Hannah Auditorium on the main campus. Translation live was available to Spanish. I also made a brief presentation to the SVCAC just in public comments a couple of weeks ago. At the 2 community meetings we just held, we had about 150 people in attendance at the 2 meetings. And the key concerns were key concerns that we have as well that need to be studied for this project to move forward. Those include, and I'm not trying to limit the list, but the main ones we heard about were traffic, water supply, fire resiliency, fire evacuation routes, sewer capacity, noise, neighborhood character and compatibility, density, clearly a key concern. And so what we are doing now is working with an architectural firm and a landscape architects firm. We're also working with potential development partners for the different components of the product types that we're considering through this very intensive site planning process. When we finish that site planning process, we'll be able to use that to help prepare our application in terms of looking forward. As I said, and as Supervisor Gorin said, this is the start of a long process. We hope to file an application with the county in June of this year, June or so of this year. We hope we can make that. We are asking that the county prepare a full environmental impact for the project, which I think they would do in any event. It would be appropriate for this kind of project. I would guess it's a year process to get a draft EIR prepared and ready for public review. And sometime after that, there'll be a series of public hearings at the county. And so that's the project at this point as we know it. There's a lot we don't know. But again, we wanted to get out to the community and to your organization in particular to give you a heads up about what we're thinking and to incorporate any comments in our site planning process. Thanks very much. I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Michael and Leslie. So we'll take comments from council and then we'll move to public comment. Celeste?
Thank you. Thank you for that presentation and for your willingness to come and meet with the MAC and present. Do you have an idea of what percentage you're looking at for the affordable housing piece yet? Or is that still in the planning stages?
It is still in the planning stages, council member. We're looking for the highest percentage we can reach consistent with the project economics and land availability. I hesitate to state a certain percentage at this point because we really just don't know, but we are actively working on how to maximize that number.
And I really appreciate your being so honest and saying, look, I don't want to give you a number yet until we know. I think that's really important because once you give a number that can start, turning into its own thing. And I just want to say that I appreciate that the plans are including affordable housing. I think that if we listen to everybody who doesn't want it in their backyard, we'll never get any housing. Okay. And we're going to lose our neighbors. And so, I want to say how much I appreciate the affordable housing aspect and the workforce housing aspect of it. We are looking at consolidating our schools because our enrollment has declined so significantly because the families can't afford to live here. And the families who are here, many of them are doubled and tripled up in 2-bedroom apartments. And that is not, that does not create the best circumstances for children going to school, trying to learn, and families who are really just trying to make it, and they're doing the very, very best that they can. And so I appreciate Hannah's willingness to include affordable housing and to consider the community need in your plan. You didn't have to, and you are choosing to. And I appreciate that. And I'm also curious about the non-public school, and I'd love to talk to somebody further about that. All the non-public schools are pretty full right now, so there is definitely a need for one. And so I'd love to learn more about that and what population you're looking at serving. But again, thank you for including the affordable housing piece, because if we don't get some housing for our community, we will be a town without children, we will be a town without a workforce, and we will be a town that doesn't recognize its neighbors because their neighbors will be gone. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Iris, Jesus, and then Hannah.
Thank you. There. Mike, well, first of all, I'm happy to hear that you're considering including senior housing in this. As a as a member of that aging community, I can see the need for appropriate housing for seniors that will give them a step down from owning the large home that their families grew up in, and or when the spouse passes away, they need something smaller. That said, I've seen comments, I think they were on Next Door, that were passed on, that already there is a decision been made for 7-Eleven and Starbucks to be I figured you'd heard about this, but I'm just putting it out there. I figured it was way too premature, and you know, my bias is I'd really like to see a local business in that case. The other thing is, looking at the map, it looks like Sonoma Creek runs at the eastern edge of it. I'm assuming you're going to do some wildlife surveys. It is a big open space. I can see that it's mostly grassland, but you know, that's hunting space for animals too. That concludes my questions. Thank you very much.
Chair, should I respond or do you want me to wait?
Yeah, I believe her question is about the open space. So if you could quickly answer that, because I know there's going to be a lot more.
Sure, and we weren't, nobody has told us about the 7-Eleven and the Starbucks, although I probably did mention, you know, would you want a place to get a cup of coffee, or would it be nice to have a small boutique market? We don't know what those uses would be, but not a 7-Eleven and not a strip mall. On the biology side, we do have an Army Corps of Engineers approved wetlands delineation that identified 3.3 acres on the site in wetlands, most of which we think we can preserve and enhance. We've also had a full biological assessment done on the site, which included a study of attributes close to Sonoma Creek and the other creeks that run through the property. So all of those issues are part of what we've already done initial studies on that we'll be submitting to the county through the application and EIR process.
Thank you. Jesus, and then Hannah, did your hand go down? Okay. Jesus, and then Hannah.
Well, my question is for not a question, but I know that this is a very controversial topic right now, and well, I just wanted to say that this project feels like oxygen, because since the uncertainty of the Sonoma Developmental Center and the housing that that discussion, I feel like it is important that affordable housing is it's in the it's talked about and is still considered in Sonoma, and I think that this is great. I know that we as we should appreciate all of the public comments, and all of the comments are appreciated, but I think that and from a perspective of somebody that I think that affordable housing is very important, and I think that this is great, and hopefully these concerns that the public has can be resolved within reasonable time. Thank you.
Thank you, Jesus. Hannah?
Yeah, did I miss when you said how many units, or is that not determined yet? Thank you.
The number of units has not been determined yet. I will mention that in the county's draft housing element that was published in December, this site was identified as a pipeline pre-application project for possibly 668 units of housing. We don't know if that's the right number. We appreciate the county sort of trying to grapple with it and come up with a number to put in that draft housing element, at least for consideration. But we need to go through our site planning process to really figure out what would fit on the site and what would work on the site. So I don't know the answer to the question yet, but we appreciate the county staff have been thinking about it.
Can I ask a
Thank
follow-up
you.
question?
Go ahead.
If the housing element isn't certified, are you ready to do a builder's remedy project? No?
Premature for me to say on that, but
That
I'll
would be
certainly
amazing. I'd love
consider
to
it.
see
Thank
it.
you.
Yeah.
Thank you. I just want to make sure Joe and Muddy Cotterman don't have anything. Okay. All right. Okay. I'm going to move on to public comment.
Okay, I do see raised hands in the order. I see them on my screen. We're going to start with Trevor.
Okay.
Victor.
Well, hello there.
Trevor, you can start when you see the timer on your screen.
Okay. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, good. Anyway, I'll make it quick. I wish I said 2 hours instead of 2 minutes, but we'll make this happen. I'm glad I joined in tonight. I happen to work for a company on Mare Island, and we build affordable housing. We have a 400 strong workforce of people that are, second chance employees, and we're very proud of that. So I'd like to make a connection somehow. In that regard, I'm the environmental health and safety specialist. I'm also the training manager. I'm also in charge of all the outreach programs and mental health awareness for our company. So I'm not sure who to talk to, but I would love to make that connection somehow. We're very proud of what we do, and we make it very affordable for the, let's say, investors as well, because it's a manufacturing facility. So we ship out the units 80% complete. Yeah, so I think it's worth exploring that venture with you guys. I live here in Sonoma. I also live on Arnold Drive, by the way. Yeah, anyway, I made that pretty short and sweet, I guess. But I'd love to make a connection with whoever I need to welcome whoever would like to come check out our factory, check out our processes. We have our architects in-house, which is very efficient, as you can imagine. A worker off the floor can go talk directly to an architect or to a project manager right there in the spot. Our owners are in-house as well. It's a very cool thing. And I'm glad that we're kind of renovating Mare Island, the old Navy base. So very proud of that. So I'd like to make that connection.
Thank you, Trevor.
Chair Terry, can I just add, so Trevor, if you could give me the name of your company, I'll find you, or just Google me, Michael Woods Sonoma. I'm the first hit that comes up.
Oh, well, there we go. It's a Factory OS on Mare Island.
Got it. Well,
yes, sir. We're on
find me or I'll
CBS,
find
Discovery
you.
Channel, you name it.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
You got it.
Sean.
Hello, I'm back. I'll keep it short. I'm alarmed by the unanimous kumbaya of this committee over this project. And congratulations again to the San Francisco public relations firm that is handling the spin of what this project is. The primary reason this is happening is because Hannah wants money. They buried the lead, but that's the reality. They looked several years ago at developing luxury homes on that land, but I assume realized that that wasn't going to fly with the community, and by cloaking it in affordable housing and seniors, they're going to be able to push it through. So again, to Susan, we've heard a lot of the marketing campaign about the Hannah suburb from the Hannah people. We need to hear from you. So I will follow up with you to try to get something set. According to the executive summary, there are 11,500 vacant units in unincorporated Sonoma County. So I'm curious why we need to add not only the Sonoma Developmental Center, but this additional project when there are that many houses out there. I'd also like some clarification because the county has been sort of saying, well, there's no proposal, and yet it says that 14 projects have been planned, approved, or proposed, and Hannah is one of them. So lots of questions that I have, and I think that it would also be helpful to hear from the county to address some of the misinformation that's out there that's just flying around about things like Starbucks or what, you know, how the housing element works, etc. So thank you, Susan.
Thank you, Sean. Who's next, Karina?
Josette, go ahead.
Hi, I attended the meeting on February 5th. Aside from all the concerns voiced about fire, water, and evacuation, a couple of other things of note came up. On affordable housing, this project and others have to pivot to a new approach. The only way to guarantee affordable housing for Sonoma Valley workers is to create a trust or other legal structure in these projects to guarantee that it goes to the workers that need it. State mandates cannot do that. The creators of this project have the ability to do this, but they have to innovate and stop doing development as usual. They need to look at other organizations and municipalities that have done this. For example, Daly City School District did it for their teachers. And also there's going to be 20 acres of open space. Maybe this can be open to all Valley residents as a park. And last, I want to share a fact about fire. 2 blocks over from my house in Boys Hot Springs, everyone on one street have had their homeowner's insurance canceled in the last 1.5 years. The insurance companies have to inform 3 months before cancellation, and they are doing that as the policies reach this point. The reason, high fire danger. I am wondering if our street is next. Fire is a real concern as we develop and the ability to insure property. But in spite of that, we do need to make sure these projects actually do create housing for those that work in the Valley at a price they can afford. So thank you very much for listening.
Thank you, Josette.
Abram, go ahead.
Thank you. I do see the timer. A couple of things. Let me just put this in perspective. We have 750 units of housing going in at SDC, and that'll eventually get through. It'll just take years. Now we have another 668 units, which will probably get through. That's 1,418 units at 2.5 people per unit, which is sort of conservative. That's 3,545 people in a very small radius with 2 two-lane country roads. This is totally an inappropriate project for the infrastructure. I know Michael explained that a lot of work has to be done, but this is just insanity to me. The question, and it's really to Susan and really all the Board of Supervisors, the housing element report said that we're going to do 1,253 units that are either in construction, permitted, or planned. Sonoma Valley has over 50% of those units. We represent a very small part of Sonoma County. I don't know why all these units are being crammed into our valley. It's amazing to me. But I would also like to suggest, because my time's running out, there are areas like on 8th Street East where there's really nothing out there, quite open, and major roads. There's not a whole lot of stuff out there now. Why that couldn't be converted to new zoning, just like this place will have to get a zoning exception. So there's a long way to go on this, but let's be realistic. There are just way too many concerns for this project. And as the other speaker said, it's about Hannah's need. Thank you.
Thank you, Avram.
Sure, go ahead.
Who is this? Oh, me. Okay. My name is, can you hear me?
Yes, go ahead.
Okay. Yeah, my name is Victor Hipkiss, and I live across the street from the 60-acre site and been here for many, 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 many years, second generation. I want to thank Mike Woods. You put me onto the link. So I've done a review of the 6th draft of the housing element. And I find Hannah listed as a pipeline project on table 8. And the definition of a pipeline project is residential developments approved and permitted, but not yet built, are pipeline projects. can be credited towards the county's RHNA for the 6th cycle housing element, provided it can be demonstrated that the units can be built by the end of the 6th cycle. So basically, we have a project that you just admitted isn't even planned yet, but the county has already put it in as a pipeline project of, as our people have said, 668 units, which is actually 59% of the pipeline projects. None of this makes sense, and it raises red flags for our Board of Supervisors to make sure their planning department is actually doing due diligence to make sure that things can be built to meet the requirement. It looks like they're using a property that they haven't really figured out yet if it can meet the requirement, just to get the numbers so they can say, oh, we have enough housing sites to meet our requirement during this planning period. Thank you.
Thank you, Victor.
Barry, go ahead.
Thank you, council members. Thank you, council members, Supervisor Gorin. My wife Karen and I bought our 1.5 acres on Agua Caliente Road in September 2016. We were delighted to find our arts and crafts home in an obviously rural area with no sign of urban stores or urban style buildings and neighboring lot sizes of 1 acre or more. The large pasture across the road with its single home was a big part of our attraction to the area. Now, is it time to destroy that rural feel in the middle of Sonoma Valley by building a development the size of SDC with hundreds of housing units and retail? And Michael didn't mention the hotel this session. Is that in or out? You know, I don't think it's time. The close neighbors on the south side of Agua Caliente Road are starting to organize. We've been joined by the owners of 14 properties south of the pasture. There are hundreds of Spring citizens and other citizens up and down the valley horrified by the development parameters that Hannah has published. We are committed to fight to protect our neighborhood, our emergency evacuation egress routes, and the existing rural feel of the land from Madrone Road to Boys Boulevard. Hannah has created a substantial liability for itself due to past and future settlements awarded to young victims and is in need of recreating its image and new revenue streams. I say, find a way to improve your cash flow and even monetize your property without destroying what we love about ours. Thanks for listening.
Thank you so much, Barry.
Kathy, go ahead.
Hi, my name is Kathy Wade Shepherd. I'm former chair of the Sonoma Valley Citizens Advisory Commission, and you on the MAC know me as a Springs activist for more than 35 years. You know, my favorite philosopher is Pogo. He says the only easy answers are the wrong ones. We have lots of issues, and they haven't improved over the 48 plus years that I've been here, but we have to keep working together and have some dialogue. Avram, I would love to see something go out on 8th Street, but we have no water or sewer out there. So that's the infrastructure problem. You know, Josette is correct. We need housing for our workers. Barry, I really, feel for you and your neighbors losing your bit of, rural feeling that you came here to enjoy. The world is changing. We're all having, to adjust. And the biggest things happen to our Sonoma Valley is that people have been having, using the properties as second homes. So we do not have enough housing for our people who want to live here all the time. It's become a great divide, and I don't know how to resolve it, but we need to keep talking to each other. And thank all of you for bringing your opinions forward. Thank you.
Thank you, Kathy.
Mario, go ahead.
Pretty Mario Castillo, a longtime resident of the Springs. And yeah, I just wanted to comment on this project. I was at the meeting on Sunday, and there was a lot of people who are obviously unhappy and concerned about their personal interest. To the previous speaker, it really comes down to people concerned about their own interest. And people who are wondering, about all the housing that is available, it's really empty homes. The reality is that if they do a little bit of investigating, but truly they will find out, that a lot of our families are leaving. That there is to Ms. Winter's point, there is students. There is a decrease in school enrollment. There's workers who are having to travel from the outside to clean the houses of those people who are complaining tonight of losing their comfort. There are people who are driving in to work on their stores. There are people who are coming in from the outside. So is it really worth those people who are actually in favor of protecting the environment are actually doing a harm by creating all those emissions, by having people drive in. So it really comes down to people being fear and losing their comfort. That's really what it comes down to, because they know that housing is a problem. There's no housing. There are no new families who are staying. It's just becoming a Disneyland for all those retired people and people who have 2, 3, 4, 5 homes in the valley. It's just ridiculous, and it's about people being selfish and not wanting to share, but yet they want the workforce. They want the women to come and clean their homes. They want their caregiver to come and take care of them on their old age. Thank you.
Thank you, Mario. Okay, are there any final comments from the council? Thank you, Michael and Leslie. I'm sure that we will be in conversation again here in the future. We appreciate your time this evening. Susan, did you want to say something?
I did want to say something, and I appreciate all of the community comments tonight. And I know that I've talked with Michael over the past years about what might happen on the site, and I emphasize might. And I think and I encouraged Michael and the Hannah Center to conduct extensive community outreach, because I knew that this was a sensitive location. And to the folks who live on Agua Caliente Road, I know that this is concerning to you. I've worked with you about the speed of traffic, the volume of traffic on Agua Caliente, and it's been incredibly frustrating. I couldn't even put a stop sign on that road to slow the traffic down. So I'm aware of your concerns and the traffic generation on Arnold Drive and Agua Caliente. And I'm sure Michael will grin when I said, I predicted that people were going to have some challenges with this project. So it is the beginning of the process. I thank Michael for the outreach that he is busy doing and hearing from you. And we'll see what kind of project is then developed for application to permit Sonoma. I suspect that when that application has happened, that the application will be referred to the Sonoma Valley CAC for discussion. And I suspect that probably at least this MAC, if not both MACs, may have some comments to lend on the project once it's really fully fleshed out. And then it will go to the Board of Zoning Adjustments and eventually to the Board of Supervisors. It's going to be a long process, a year maybe. And I too have some questions about the housing element specifically related to this location and the project, because it makes no sense. The developmental center is not included in the housing element and are not counted in the number of housing units. We appealed to ABAG to reduce our burden for housing in the unincorporated areas of Sonoma County. They rejected the appeal. So I think that we have to plan and have to approve a housing element with opportunities for creating maybe 3,800 housing units. I'm not sure what our burden is, but it's a lot, close to 4,000, which makes no sense because we believe in city-centered growth. And yet the SDC and this area, the Hannah Boy Center, is not exactly in an urban area. So thank you, Kathy Wade Shepherd, for correcting the assumption that we can just simply move housing elsewhere in Sonoma Valley. We can't. It does not have water. It does not have sewer. So housing needs to be created on that land that has access to the utilities. And this is a site that does have access to the utilities. It is on the transit line. It is on the circulator bus that will eventually go to SDC. And we're already in discussion with the Hannah Center about donating land for the multi-use path along Arnold Drive or the bike lanes on either side of Arnold Drive. And they have already discussed multi-use paths along the two corners of this property. So they're aware that I'm looking at this carefully regarding trip generation. And I'm so glad that we're including, they will be including, hopefully, as many affordable housing units as possible, as well as perhaps a small neighborhood center so that people don't have to get in their cars. They can have a cup of coffee in a market and maybe a place to gather. So my eyes are opened, my ears are open. I'm looking forward to hearing your comments. And hopefully your comments can help the Hannah Center revise its proposal. So, and Avram, just contact me and we can chat.
Thank you, Susan. So I try to stay neutral. And one of the things about me is that I often sit in the uncomfortable middle, very often on many, many things. But I do have a wondering. And my wondering is that I was an educator in this valley for many, many years. And I watched my school go from 500 students to under 300 in the time that I was principal. I've watched families leave this community. To Mario's point, we now have people coming into this community to work in our stores, in our places, to work in our hospitals. And to Kathy's point, we do need to work together. So my wondering is, if not in these locations that have been discussed over and over again, and I don't expect an answer, I'm just putting this out there, then where? Where will we find places for people to live? We are, and Celeste has said this over and over again, we are becoming a community without children. We're becoming a community that is going to be less and less diverse. And my concern is that our future is not looking like a community of families and people who have gathering spaces, that we're becoming very siloed, and I am concerned. So my question to this community and the community at large is, if and not at these locations, then where? Where can we find places for people to live? So we're going to go for a break, and we'll do 5 minutes. And I really want to thank the childcare folks for hanging on for this, for the next section. We're going to do a 5-minute break. So if somebody wants to add 5 minutes to 18, we'll know when to come back. I think it's 23. So we'll see you at 8:23. Thank you all. Thank you to the Hannah folks for being here. Hi, Melanie. Nice to see you.
You as well. Thanks for having me.
Okay. So we're going to hear about childcare.
All right, let's dive in. So my name is Melanie Dodson. I'm the Executive Director for the Community Child Care Council of Sonoma County, better known as 4Cs. And we're here tonight to tell you about a project that we are focused on in the Valley that is very in line with many of the things you've been discussing tonight, very important things for our community members: housing, safe bike lanes, keeping families in the Valley, and what they need to remain in the Valley is childcare, one of the most important things. Early learning, preschool, opportunities so families can go to work and children can be in safe spaces. So 4Cs is the county's child care resource and referral agency funded by the state of California. And of course, I just froze. I'm hoping you can still hear me. I will keep talking. Can you still hear me? Yes, okay. So we're here, we've been here for 50 years, and we've recently been funded by the Sonoma Valley ECE Foundation to focus our attentions and connect our agency's resources specifically to Sonoma Valley. We're going to show a video shortly to show you some of the data that is particularly unique to the Valley about being a childcare desert. As an agency, our job is we're a multi-service agency. We run 12 state-funded preschools. We help all families of all income levels get connected to childcare for their children birth to age 13. We offer subsidized childcare through the state of California for families who are income eligible. We're enrolling 500 children right now and making sure that geographically we're getting a spread of families across our community. Childcare is a need across the county, particularly since COVID. We've lost a significant number of slots, almost 50% still at this point, and we're trying to rebuild. And we know if we want our families to be able to be employed and to have a safe place for their kids, we have to have caregivers who are willing to take care of children, center-based, licensed family childcare. So there was a study conducted in the Valley a couple of years ago that demonstrated this need. And so what we are now tasked to do is we have a staff member who is dedicated to Sonoma Valley, Juan Frese, who will be talking after the video. And we are working to build childcare. So licensed family childcare, training folks, helping them to become providers in the community, folks who are already home, probably caring for kids, building businesses. We're also talking to community partners about how we can leverage projects, affordable housing, building in childcare and early learning programs, so that when you have more families, that there are slots, because we know there's not enough slots right now for the families that have the need. Infant toddler care and school age programs particularly are the biggest need in the Valley. I think I'm going to leave it there. But I just want to say 4Cs is really excited to be doing this project. We're also working closely with the school district and really looking at slots across the community to try to figure out how do we address this. But one thing we do know is we cannot do it alone. We need the leaders of the community to join us, think about this as an issue, look at facilities, talk to us about ideas you have, and we're going to share ideas that we have as well and recommendations. So I'm going to switch it over to the video and then I'll let Juan take it from there. I'm not hearing sound, Juan.
Yeah, Karina, it should have some sound.
Can you hear me? Yeah, okay. I just hear very faint music in the background.
Yeah, it kind of popped there. There's gonna be a little bit of a voiceover here also describing the results study.
Under the age of 5.
Coming through a little bit.
Yeah, I kicked in a second ago. Can you hear?
A child care desert is defined as a census tract with more than 3 children under the age of 5.
Did you all hear that?
Yep.
Pretty good.
Every child care slot. More than half of the families in the U.S. with young children live in a child care desert. Child care deserts are closely linked to areas of high poverty. However, families of all income levels are struggling to find quality child care, especially for infants and toddlers. Child care for infants and toddlers is very limited in Sonoma Valley. In a study from the Sonoma County Community Area Profiles in 2019, the area of Fetter Springs and Agua Calientes West is listed in the high-risk priority areas for Sonoma County. The report indicates that 1% of the need for subsidized infant-toddler care has been met in the Sonoma Valley, and 0% in the highest need area of the Sonoma Valley. The major themes from parent listening sessions have been the need for more full-day programs, flexible hours for working families, and more infant-toddler care. Of the subsidized care for preschoolers that has been provided, only 26% of the slots were full day, which is defined as 6 hours or more. Parents have indicated a need to have full day care. One parent said,
"We need full day, full year, full time. We have to work."
the need for infant-toddler care is again highlighted in the waiting list data. In April 2021, of the children on the waiting list for subsidized services, 73% of them fell into the category of infants and toddlers, while only 14% fell into the category of preschoolers, and 13% fell into the school-aged category.
Did you have more to say, or would you like to take comments at this point?
Yeah, I would like to just share a little bit about what has been going on. My name is Juan Fresi, as was mentioned earlier, and I'm part of 4Cs. I'm the Sonoma Valley Early Care and Education Partnership Director. We have been so thankful just in the 8 months that we've actually been operating this program to have community partners like LaLuz and Hannah kind of step up to help us. We have been trying to attack this issue. That's an issue that's not going away. From multiple fronts, as Melanie mentioned, we are trying to train more people to do family care, and we're also trying to see if we can get some centers to add slots for infant and toddler care. Now, when we're talking about a child care desert specifically, it is for infant toddler care, it is a child care desert. There are slots for preschools, even though in the centers typically in Sonoma Valley, parents are very picky about what centers they want to use. And since some of the centers have closed, it has become harder to get into the places where parents want to put their children. There are two centers there in Sonoma that have waiting lists, but then there are slots in others that they can't fill. But there's only one center currently that actually does infant toddler care. And they're full. They have a waiting list. The only other way to find infant toddler care in the Sonoma Valley is in a family care, and some people don't want to use family care, and that's their choice and that's their preference. And so we have been working to try to increase slots in both areas. We did a training at La Luz already, where we had a full house and we trained about 20 individuals in family care, and a small percentage of them have been on the journey to getting licensed. But you know, there's challenges that come with trying to operate a family care in the valley there. Sometimes with landlord issues, and I think that if we could educate people and help them to understand that this is something that helps the community, and that helps to keep our families, I think that would be a beneficial thing. There's also challenges when it comes to facilities. I know Melanie briefly mentioned that. We have an individual who has opened up facilities, who is looking at for a place where there is a need to open up a facility, and we're in conversations with that individual about possibly considering doing it in the Sonoma Valley, and specifically trying to address the need for infant toddler care slots. And just to point this out, I mean, recently the state made a big push, and we've been trying to promote the website where parents can go to do referrals. That's to find a place where they can put their child and find childcare. In the last quarter of the past year, 2022, when this big push really started, we had 25 individuals searching for infant care in Sonoma Valley. And that's just the people that found the website, got online, and were trying to do their own referral. The traffic on the website had gone up from basically nothing to about 355 individual searches. Some of that was also for preschool. And so this is a need that's not going away. Just in the current year now, from January to today, I was just looking at the data, and there has been 27 searches, individuals searching for infant toddler care. Just so that number for this quarter of this first year, 2023, is probably going to be bigger than it was for the quarter of the last year. And the traffic is already at 267 individual hits on that website. So this is a big need. This is something that families are struggling with. They're trying to find care. And of course, it's an important thing. Not everybody has family nearby that they can take them to. And so if people can't find care for their children and they can't work, then something's got to give. And so even though housing is part of that solution, care is also an important part of the solution, because we have to meet those families' needs in order to keep those families. And I've had conversations with different people in the Valley at the Catalyst Fund and some of these other places, and they all see what somebody already mentioned about the graying of Sonoma Valley, right? We need to have those families. We need them to stay. We need them to be integrated so that they can be the future as they continue to grow older and age, and continue to keep the community vibrant. And so I just wanted to share those numbers and that information. We can answer any questions that anybody might have, but basically we're just asking, let's keep this in mind as we move forward. Are there facilities that can be used? You know, the Springs was specifically the area that had that 0% of the need met. 1%, the 1% was somebody who actually got a voucher, and they used that voucher to pay for their infant care outside of the Springs area. They went over to Sonoma, used the voucher, got care for their infant, and that was the 1% need that was met. But other than that, there was no place in the Springs area itself where people can get infant toddler care. And so that is a challenge. We do have some family care that recently has opened up there. But like I said, not everybody's interested in family care. So when facilities come available, maybe that is something that can be kept in mind. And of course, educating people to inform them and let them know that there is this need. And if you're a landlord and you can allow people to run a family care, it'll help the community and it'll help the families to stay in that community. So that's all I had.
Thank you. All right. Any comments from the council? Iris? And then Celeste?
Thank you.
have a couple of questions. One, are vouchers readily available to pay for care? Because of course, that's a huge issue. That's the one. And the other one is that, although it was a long time ago, having a child in that, an infant and toddler who needed daycare, family care has the difficulty of the person doing it needing to go on vacation or having an illness or crisis in their own family. So how is that being handled? Are those two issues, please? Thank you.
Great questions. Yeah, so childcare vouchers from the state of California, California Department of Social Services have become much more available. 20 years ago, even 10 years ago, actually probably just pre-fires. There was not an understanding in the community that the best way to get dollars into our community for childcare was to provide a voucher that a family could take to any caregiver that they chose. Now, here we are, few years later, Four Cs has seen a 40% growth in the numbers of families that we have of opportunity to serve. We still have very strict regulations about serving the lowest income first, and there's other categorical eligibility. But the great news is we've seen a great increase in that numbers. And like I said, last year we got to enroll 500 new children. This year we're going to enroll 500 new children. And that really came about because there was this understanding for essential workers that if you didn't have childcare when the schools were closed and when big center childcare were closed, that our essential workers, our nurses, our doctors, our firefighters, our folks who are working in the grocery stores could not get to work. So the state has expanded hugely the numbers of vouchers, and I see that continuing, which is good. So there should be more vouchers available in the future. To the point about licensed family childcare, licensed family childcare is a wonderful option. It is a business, and businesses and employees, they get to take vacations. So it's really about that licensed family childcare, sharing with the families that are using their service, their contracts and their schedules. We teach them to operate like a business, offering days of vacation when the provider is closed. I think something parents are used to now, and it's sometimes a frustration, but the childcare vouchers can help, but is that you pay for that slot and we're paying for that family childcare's vacation when you're paying for that slot. That's part of the business, what you're purchasing, but you do have to plan around it. That's for sure. As a parent, I use licensed family childcare myself for my two littles. We want them to be healthy and take those breaks as well. So, but it is very expensive. I don't know if you've seen the cost of care these days, but for an infant toddler for a month, it can be anywhere from $1,100 to $1,500 a month. So it's lower than mortgages and rents these days, but it rivals. I mean, that's a huge investment, especially for an infant toddler. And the childcare vouchers cover the majority of that.
Thank you. Celeste, and then Joe, did you have your hand up? Yeah, so Celeste and then Joe. Thank you.
Thank you. I thank you for your presentation. I was really encouraged to hear the training and the boosting of the licensed family daycares. I use them myself with my children. I used to receive 4 Cs voucher with my 2 oldest children who are now adults. And that was the only reason I was able to get to my job and be able to work. And they're really helpful. And do they still, I know that when we had it also provided provided meals. The licensed family daycare received meal stipends. Is that still part of the program?
Yes, licensed family childcare providers can choose to participate in the child adult food program, which is run through 4 Cs. It's similar to a school lunch program in an elementary school. 4 Cs is the sponsor to support the family childcare providers across the county and in Napa and Marin.
Thank you. That makes me really happy. And I wanted to make sure people knew that that was part of it. We have such high levels of food insecurity, and for families to be able to have that as part of their child care voucher package can really make a huge difference in their ability to to get by. So thank you for clarifying that.
Yeah, thank you for calling that out.
Thank you. Joe?
I more so just wanted to say thank you for all y'all do. I work for the Boys and Girls Club here in town. We've partnered for years and years and years. And right now we have some other funding streams, and that's not necessary, but I'm sure the day will come again, and appreciate what y'all do and what you've done for our families, and will continue to do.
Thank you.
Celeste, did you have something else? Marty Carmen?
Sorry, can you hear me? Yes, I also wanted to thank Michelle and Juan. I think that they're truly, wholeheartedly trying to find answers in Sonoma Valley, in conjunction with Sonoma Valley Education Foundation, which has been our, one of our saviors also in really keeping preschool education and infant toddler support here with 4Cs. And 4Cs is doing much more than just offering preschools, but personally, they have been one of our key partners for the back to school health fair. Preschool education is so vital in the development of our children and reaching their literacy levels in all developmental stages. So I really hope that we can together find a solution. And I know at one point you all were looking at Hannah into doing a site potentially. I hope that is fruitful. But meanwhile, we resolve other issues like housing. We really need to be able to stabilize the families that we have here and keep the ones that we have here. And thank you for being part of that solution.
Great, thank you. Are there any other comments from the council? Okay, well, you all know how passionate I am about this topic, so I don't need to say anything else. I'm wondering if there's any public comment.
I don't see any raised hands, Chair Attorney.
Karina, I think I lost your sound, or maybe it's just me.
Can you hear me? Hello?
No, that's better. Okay. All right. Any final comments?
Can I just add, I think employer supported childcare is something we all need to consider in our different business hats, and the more we can think of it as an employer benefit and pay for those slots and support our employees that way, something else 4Cs is working on. So happy to partner with that front too.
Yeah, I tried that model. I was trying that at when I was principal. I was looking at doing that for infants and toddlers. It's that's a challenging one, but I think it's a really, really important one.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
I'm sorry. I think Melanie, I think I called you a different name. I'm so sorry.
It's okay. It was an M.
I actually was trying to do it from my memory and not read because I know Juan's name by heart. So I'm so sorry. I realized oh my God, I called her Michelle. So sorry. My apologies.
All right. Okay. So thank you both for being here. Really, really appreciate it. And thanks for staying on so late with us too.
Thank you.
All right. We are rounding the corner. Okay, so we have our so these are just quick, brief updates on our ad hoc. Our first one is Community Voice, and we did the event in December, and Muddy Kahneman, unless you have other ideas, we have not met to create any other opportunities.
No, not for this ad hoc, but let me think. I feel like we're just starting off the year literally.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
Okay.
I know Iris is on it too, so I don't know if Iris.
Oh, Iris, sorry. Did you want to say anything? Oh, sorry, I missed your name.
It's okay. I'm in the same place. It's like there was a breather. And we've got to ramp up again, but thank you very much.
Thank you. Joe and I have the bike rack, and Artscape is ready. We need somebody to help us get the bike rack moved. That's our biggest challenge. Karina's back in, Karina, are you back in the office, or are you? So if there's a community member out there that wants to help us get that bike moved, that would be amazing. We just need some help making that happen, but we do have things lined up to make it all work.
How big is that thing?
Well, it won't fit in a car.
Or an SUV?
No, I don't believe it will.
Okay.
And it's heavy, is my
Yes.
understanding. Karina?
Sure, just Iris, think of it as a bicycle. It's the size of a bicycle. It doesn't have the handles. So it's just like the two wheels and the body of the bicycle, but we probably need a truck.
Yeah, it doesn't fold.
Yeah, it does not, so.
And it's, I mean, it looked, I mean, I think Joe and Jesus unpacked it, and I think it looked heavy. So I'm just guessing on that because it has to, withstand the weather. Jesus?
I wanted to volunteer to help move the bicycle rack from the Grove Street to the Artscape, but I will have to coordinate with Karina and Artscape to make that happen.
Thank you. Thank you, Jesus. We appreciate that. All right. Karina said, ask for help. And I was like, okay, I will. And look what happened. Springs Community Plaza ad hoc. Hannah, Joe, Jesus.
I have nothing. Sounds like the need is to organize a discussion.
Yeah. Okay, road paving. I thought that one was closed. Is that still
I also thought it was
There's
closed.
nothing happening as far as I know. We haven't heard anything from the county, and I don't think we're supposed to do any more input.
You've submitted yeah, okay, thank you.
Months ago, yeah. Thank you.
E-waste event? It doesn't have anybody's name, so I don't know if that was a thing or not. Okay. MAC logo, Joe, Celeste, and I met. One of you guys want to give an update?
I have the notes. If I missed something, just let me know.
Okay.
So we decided that we want to do this with a logo that represents the Springs and the community that lives here, that the submissions need to be a high resolution PNG or PDF, and it needs to be black and white and be able to be black and white and in color, and the ability to be in English and Spanish. We decided to have a submission deadline of March 31st. And then the finalists, as a MAC, will look at it, we'll decide on the finalists, and then we will put the finalists out to the community. I think we decided we were going to narrow it down to 4. Was that our plan?
I think so.
Yeah, and put it out to the community and let the community vote on the finalists and choose one out of that 4 to be the logo. And we're going to have it so that people will vote once, so that we don't have folks going in voting over and over and over again, because that's not fair. That's cheating. And we would like to offer a prize of $400. And so that's what we need to talk as a body tonight and decide if that's something that the MAC wants to do, so that we can move forward. And once the MAC decides on that piece, we'll be able to move forward with promoting it and having people start submitting. So that was my notes. Did I miss anything?
That's great. Karina?
Thank you, Chair Turi. So because this is a receive item only, unfortunately, you cannot vote on any financial, or any budgetary items. Is having,
Should we push our deadline out then an extra month? Instead of March 31st, let's bump it out to April. What do we have, 30 or 31 days? I can't remember.
I think 30. Yes, can we put it on as a resolution? My apologies, I didn't catch that. Can we put that on as a resolution for the next meeting then?
happy to do so, and just designate either Joe or Celeste to bring forward the budget request form to be approved at the next meeting.
Can we go ahead and start advertising without a budget approval, or do we have to wait until that?
You can advertise the contest. You cannot advertise that there is a monetary prize.
So we could say prize TBA. Are we allowed to say that?
Yeah, could it, because it could change. If the council denies it, we might have to come up with something else. Couldn't we do that?
I think we need to connect with our legal department. Just, I don't quote anything.
Can you check for us so we can start to get it out there if we can? Thank you.
Okay,
Iris?
so can we update in the minutes that we're gonna bump the deadline up for now to April 30th, and then pending hearing back from legal, how we can move forward with the promotion and start doing submissions.
Yes.
Right. And our plan too is to advertise also, you know, various spaces in the community, but also through Creative Bridges, which is a nonprofit in the Valley of lots of different art organizations and artists. Feeling like that would be a great place to get the word out.
Yeah, we're really hoping for the local person to the local artist to be to participate in this and to really capture the Springs. So we're excited about it. Iris, did you want to say something?
I just, it seems like we could do this with a 5-minute meeting if we could schedule it. If you wanted to make that an option, that's my only idea. Thank you.
Okay, that might be a possibility. Thank you for that. Mari Carmen?
Sorry, did I miss how what the voting process was going to be for a winner? Like, how was it going to be judged or decided?
Yeah.
It'll be a public vote. So there will be like a Google form link with QR codes, links, all that good stuff. And folks will be able to take that survey online, either from their phone or home PC.
But it would be, the MAC would decide on who the 4 finalists are, and then the community would vote out of those 4 finalists. Because as a MAC, we need to be able to narrow it down to 4 final logos that we know we can use that meet all of our needs in terms of being able to be a transparent PNG and all that overlay and all that stuff, that the logistical end of things.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, we have receive updates. We're done with ad hocs. Now we have receive app.
No, we still have the community gathering.
Oh, I'm so sorry, Celeste. You want to comment on that one?
Yeah.
Thank you.
So last time we had talked about, wanting to, that it made sense to do it in June, because we know that the weather is more compliant that time of year. And so when school gets out, and so I'd like to suggest to the MAC, and I'm hoping that, we could decide so that we can start doing some community outreach on what day to do it. School gets out on June 8th. And so I'd like to propose one of the days in the following 2 weekends. So they're 6/10 is a Saturday, 6/11 is a Sunday, and 6/17 is a Saturday, and 6/18 is a Sunday. So one of those 4 days I'd like to just throw out onto the table. I don't think we have to choose one tonight, because we'd also need to look and see, is Larson Park getting a permit for Larson available for all of those days or only some of those days. But those are the 4 dates that I'm looking at. And so if those 4 days as a possibility are agreeable to the MAC, then I can take the next steps of making sure that Larson would be available.
Thank you, Celeste. it's great. That's after school gets out. People should be more available. Weather should be, as you mentioned, more agreeable. The only thing I would want to consider is, are there any conflicting events that would be happening those weekends that might collide with that? But I'm not sure how we check that. Do we, so Karina, can we, because this is also not a resolution, can we provide input to Celeste about those dates?
My recommendation is to add a formal item at your next agenda or have a special meeting specifically about this project, just like Iris suggested, a specific or a special meeting specifically for the logo. At this point, you cannot vote on those dates, but it's good that she mentioned them so you can vote at the March meeting unless you decide to have a special meeting prior. What I can say is once you have decided on a date, because it's so far out, and if you start promoting, hopefully other organizations that are putting events up will keep that in mind and not double book.
Be the first on the dance floor.
Yeah, they won't stomp on our little Springs Fiesta.
What I
can, could you repeat the dates? I'm sorry.
Sure. So I'm gonna look at 6/10, 6/11, and 6/17 and 6/18. And what I'll do is find out if all of those dates are available for Larson, that there's nothing else booked for those dates. And then when we get it on the agenda, then we'll have that information, because maybe one of those dates isn't available and we need to exit anyway. And so then when we have it agendized, we would know what we're working with.
Thank you. Okay. Now, any, Jesus, sorry.
If I can recall, I believe the June 18 is Father's Day. So maybe we could have something in consideration, maybe make like a team, something related celebration. I don't know. That's something that you would like to consider. Thank you.
Thank you, Jesus.
Yeah,
Joe,
I would say, so maybe that Saturday. My only thought is the weekend prior, and we can talk about this later. The weekend prior will be like graduation weekend, so there may be tons of grad parties and whatnot going on that weekend. So the following weekend might be the best.
we're narrowing it down, even though we're not voting on it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. All right. I'm gonna move us on to before we
Like how we did that
before we get into trouble here. So we're gonna move on to budget requests. We have an update. We did that. Okay, fence, Celeste, we do have a space for you to request a budget here.
Oh,
is that we have, or did we already do that?
Yes. So on your notes, Chair Terry, the picnic has already been approved at a previous meeting.
Okay.
I was breaking it down for you. Yes.
Okay, thank you. I wasn't sure what that meant. The fence lighting. Did we need to get something? I want to thank Jesus and Artscape for everything they did to make that happen. It was beautiful. So thank you. Do we need anything on that one, Karina? I'm not sure that I understand this section.
Yeah, it's my understanding that Jesus was not allowed the opportunity to provide an update at the January meeting.
Okay.
Fence lighting and properly thank Artscape. So this is the opportunity to do so.
Thank you. Jesus, would you like to share about the fence lighting? You're on mute.
Thanks so much. Unfortunately, I can't do it right now. I am connected to the meeting through my phone and I have my slides on my computer. I cannot log in and resume to my computer, so this is my option. If Hannah will be kind to pull up the PowerPoint, I will be more than happy to present.
Hannah, is that something you can do for us?
Me?
No, I'm sorry, Karina.
Oh,
Okay.
I'm sorry, Hannah.
I was like, okay. Karina, do you
Sorry.
have the slide deck?
I do believe I have the deck. I'm opening it right now. Give me 1 second.
He was so used to being your partner, Hannah.
I'm sorry, Hannah.
You all see it?
that's fine. Yeah, yes.
All right.
That's mine.
That's Mari.
That
Yeah.
was the one that I did.
Yep.
Okay, so let me see. That
I'm
is
sorry to make it complicated.
from last month. So maybe move on to the next item, Chair Tori, while I look for it.
Okay, very good. Well, actually, the next item is budget update. Do you want me to skip to consideration for future agenda items and then come back?
So the budget is at this moment. Let me share my screen. Okay, with your invoices up to date after your January 11th meeting, all of these in yellow are still to be delivered to our office. So as of now, your current available budget is where am I? $3,068.75.
Okay.
I won't go into too much detail because I know it's very late and I'm looking for it. But if there's any questions, I'll keep it up for a moment.
Okay, I'm going to go on to consideration for future agenda items while you look for the PowerPoint. So for March, because we know that we've had a recent death in the area on the highway, we are asking Caltrans and Public Infrastructure, which is formerly known as TPW, to come to our March meeting to have a conversation. We're also asking Sonoma County Transit to come to that meeting. So that will be focused on transportation and safety on our roads. The April meeting will have Larson Park and public spaces. Regional parks folks will be here as well to discuss, and that be a great opportunity to talk about the bathroom. And John Hennelly from Sonoma Valley Hospital. May, we're looking at economic growth and housing, but that is still up for changes. Are there any other things that we want considered? Mighty Kahneman, did your hand go up?
Yes, May, if we can do it's Fire Emergency Preparedness Week.
May is? So great. And we do have Chief Aker coming in April. So for May, thank you for that.
Come because it's kind of closer to the time where they're going to know how fire season is going to actually look like.
Yeah, good point. It's always top of mind. Iris and then Karina.
Real quick on this one, Mari, what was it again? I was multitasking, so.
Fire emergency preparedness for May.
Thank you.
Iris?
Thank you. When we hear TPW, are they going to be talking more about safety, or will there be an opportunity to ask about bus service? Because those to me, better bus service and congestion and parking.
Well, we have Sonoma County Transit coming too.
We
have a boat.
When are they coming?
So,
March.
I'd like to take a moment,
Okay.
just
Then I got
for March. We tentatively have Caltrans and Public Infrastructure, formerly TPW, and Sonoma County Transit.
Yes.
With plans and public infrastructure, and I apologize if you already mentioned this, Chair Terry, I was multitasking, but Supervisor Gorin is in conversations with Caltrans and public infrastructure. And just for everyone's awareness, they are working on creating an ad hoc to further discuss this and do further investigation. Supervisor Gorin has requested that they meet at least twice before our internal meeting with them, and they're asking for 4 to 6 weeks. So your March meeting may not be, or they may not be prepared to provide an update at your March meeting, so they could potentially be looking at April. So I just wanted to be
Okay.
community. We can still have Sonoma County Transit, but let's not expect Caltrans and public infrastructure to be here in March.
Then is there a potential to flip those so that we bring in Larson Park and public spaces in March? Or do we need to?
Happy to do that for you guys.
Okay, thank you. Muddy Cotterman?
I forgot to mention, but I know that you have Chief Aker in April, you mentioned, correct? Potentially maybe for May, could it be Sonoma County COAD, the ones to present, and CVNL, which I know they're the ones who have or are behind the volunteer group for emergency preparedness in Sonoma Valley. So I'd like to see how that's going.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other comments or ideas for future agenda items?
Yes, didn't Supervisor Gorin also suggested that we should talk to these to folks from the Larson Park that also should be inscribing to the future agenda?
Yes, that's the Larson Park and Public Spaces. We have Steve Earhart and Bert Whitaker. I don't know if were there other people mentioned. I think that's it, Jesus. I'm not sure. We'll check and make sure though.
Thanks.
Thank you. Okay, Karina, did you find the slide deck?
I did. Apologies. I had to go on a scavenger hunt for it, but
okay.
Ready when you're ready, Jesus. And you're on mute again.
Thank you. So the Springs Municipal Advisory Council collaborated with our state to beautify the springs, the springs fence lining decoration on 22 Boyes Boulevard. And there you see the installation of the lights, and you can see Karina and along with a worker from the KS Maxim group that volunteered to install the light cable to have the lining. And well, here we are installing the lights. And I don't know if you can see it from really, but this is how we look from during the day. And next slide, this is how it looked during the night. It looked great. And it's thank you to our collaborators, Artscape and Ambassadors and Elizabeth Feroz for their help. And also we want to thank Enrique from Wine Country Tires for providing the power and for making it that possible. Thank you. And I look forward for this coming year to perhaps light up the tree on the corner of Boyes and the parking lot. I remember a few years ago seeing that, and it was amazing when I first saw it. And I think that we should recreate that, and hopefully the MAC gets the opportunity to do it. Thank you.
Thank you, Jesus. It was beautiful.
Thank you.
Okay. I think we have, yes, Karina?
Great. Again, I was multitasking. Did we hear an update on the Facebook page?
I scratched that because there was nothing to say about the Facebook page except it's operational.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Are we, anything else? All right. I just want to say thank you to KSVY for broadcasting, Lynn Marie for minute taking, Gilberto and Javier. Thank you for your interpretation skills. Thank you to Supervisor Gorin for being here. Karina, thank you so much. And thank you, Zaira, for being here at it's your first meeting with the MAC. Look for us in person in March. We appreciate you all being here, and can I get a motion to adjourn?
I motion.
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Hannah, let us know when that bundle of joy shows up.
I will tell you guys. Thank
All
you.
right.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye.
I will.